Hello, hello. Welcome to the Change with Him Real Raw Redeemed podcast. I had to share this morning because it was fresh. And just like when you're making cookies, or last night we made croissant rolls. Actually, they're called resurrection rolls. We made them at Easter. You take a croissant roll and then you take a marshmallow and you dip it in butter, and then you roll the marshmallow in sugar and dirt, and then you roll it up inside the croissant and you bake it, and then the white part is representative of the body of Jesus and how it resurrects, right? When you bake it, the marshmallow just fades away. It becomes sticky, yummy, delicious gooiness. And then it's like the shell of the croissant is the tomb, creates this tomb, and so they're called resurrection rolls. So those are best when they're fresh out of the oven. Chocolate chip cookies, which are my absolute favorite, are best when they're fresh out of the oven, when they're warm, when they're gooey, and that smell has just filled the house. That is when they're fresh and when they're the best. And so I felt this is fresh. And I had this experience this morning with my daughter that just made me smile. It filled my heart with just a sense of love and a deeper, more meaningful understanding of who God is and what he does for us. And it's in our humanness that we can miss that if we're busy. And all of us are busy. So, all of these experiences and these moments with God, these times where we question if he's there, when we slow down and when we really take the time to be with him, we get to have more experiences like this. And I had an experience like this morning. You can imagine how busy God is, right? If I mean, the kingdom of heaven, it goes way beyond earth, but a lot of times we think about earth and we think about this little tiny dot in this little community that we live in. We don't think about how big the world is. You can literally spend over 12 hours on a flight, like going to the other side of the world. So we often lose sight of the perspective of the size of this. And if God is the creator of all, and he's not just Earth, he's all the planets, he's all the galaxies, he's all the stars, he's all the solar systems, those are all in his world. We often compare our little earthly tiny world problem to what he's experiencing. And we think our problems are so big, so huge that he just can't possibly do anything about them. And I know for a long time I thought that, like, this is just too big. And when the problem wasn't being resolved, like now immediately I'm like, you don't love me, you're not here, you're not real, you don't care about me. All of those painful projections I had through experiences with other humans, I projected onto my experience with him. But he's not human. I mean, he was human when he was Jesus, and Jesus is real and he's still alive because he resurrected, like just like that resurrection roll, the croissant that no longer has the marshmallow in it, a representation of Jesus, that he rose and he's now sitting at the right hand of God in the kingdom of heaven. And we forget that, but there's silly little things like that can remind us of that. And there was a silly little thing this morning that just reminded me of God's love for us, and it was in the experience I had with my daughter. This morning, I woke up and I was a little bit tired. I checked my phone, right? The first thing that you're not supposed to do, we all do. So I woke up, I roll over, and I'm like, oh, what time is it? The light is already coming through the window. Another day, right? Not the way to start a day. I was like, oh, another day. Why can't I sleep? Why am I awake? Why are I not sleeping right now? And making the decision, do I just get up or do I try to go back to sleep? And I don't know if you're anything like me, but when you know the alarm is set and it's anywhere within the window of an hour to an hour and a half, you're like, right when I do fall back to sleep, the alarm is going to blare in my ear. And I hate that experience. It is the worst. I absolutely hate it. Like the anticipation of the sound of the alarm going off, it wrecks my nervous system. So I'm like, okay, it's 5:49. Ugh. I could sleep for another hour, but I'll probably lie there thinking about sleeping for another hour before I actually fall asleep. And then I'll think, well, my alarm's going to go off in 30 minutes. So what's the point? So having this contemplative struggle in my mind. Do I wake up or do I not? And so I got up, of course, and I went downstairs and I started cleaning up, from the mess from the resurrection rolls because we were up until 10 o'clock making those last night. And the to-do list downloads in my mind, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll start the to-do list. Get some things done bright and early, right? And and then I make my coffee. I like French press coffee, so I'm boiling the water, I've got everything ready, and then I sit down. I'm like, "All right, God, I need time with you." My days are the best when I begin them with you. So, it's quiet in the stillness of the morning. I want my time with you. And there's always this question of, "Ugh, is my daughter gonna wake up and interrupt it?" And right when I sit down, I've got my coffee mug and I put it down like, "Ah, okay." And I open up my book and I'm reading about God and it's so good, so good. And a one page in, a small page, mind you, not a very large page at all. I'm reading and I hear, "Mom!" And instantly I'm like, okay. God, you knew that I devoted this time for us, for you, to be closer to you, to get to know you, to be with you. And sure, you know what? If you're gonna allow it to be interrupted, that's on you, right? Like that this is your fault. That's on you. Don't we do that? Oh God, this is your fault. This is on you. And I go upstairs and I see my daughter, like her eyes kind of like squinted open, looking like, did she come? And I know that her little ears are listening to the sound of my feet and the creak in the floor as I'm walking up the stairs to see if I came when she called. And so I crawl into bed and she always gets my left arm. We've got this routine. She gets my left arm and she sleeps like right in the corner, where my armpit is, and her head fits perfectly right there. And sometimes it's right in the right spot where it literally cuts off circulation and my arm goes numb, but I just can't move it. I'm like, there's something about the peace of a child sleeping in your arms, those arms that you extended wide, those arms that you invited them into when they called you. And she very quickly fell back to sleep. So I've got the Bible app on my phone. So I'm like, oh, I'll read that. But I didn't want to because I don't like spending too much time on screens. It makes my eyes tired and drains my energy. Like literally, as the battery in the phone is draining, I feel my energy draining as well every time I'm on the screen. I'm like, hey, we're the same. Like your battery's going down as I'm using you, and my internal battery is going down as I'm using you. Like, and everything in life is an energetic match. And I had this awareness moment where I thought, wow, God, thank you. This is what you do. I scream out to you, and I don't know if you get annoyed like I do, but I scream out to you, God, like my daughter screamed, Mom. And you probably take a deep breath because who likes to hear their name screamed like that? You probably go, and you don't say anything, but you come when I call. You don't go, what? Oh my God, really? Seriously? Again? You come in the silence, you come in the stillness, you come in the quietness, and you crawl right next to me and you open up your arms. You don't say a word. You simply speak with your actions. You open up your arms and you let me come in and rest my head in that special place so that I can rest with you, next to you, within you, beside you, that I can feel calm. I can feel loved. I can feel comforted. I can feel safe. I can feel supported, and I can rest in your arms. And so I'm lying in bed with my daughter thinking, oh shit, my coffee's downstairs. Like, at least if I brought it up here with me, I could set it on the nightstand and like grab it with my right arm. I wondered, God, do you think like that too? Like, do you need coffee to wake up every morning? And I just laughed as I was having this experience lying there, coming after my daughter called me, not yelling at her, just opening my arms. And she knows this is my little spot in the little crook of your body that's mine. Like, I almost feel like that part of my body has been imprinted because it's been hers since literally the day she was born. We did the football cradle right when she came out. We've always co-slept. She'd nurse for 2.5 years, and then she'd pop off the titty and just roll to the left and fall asleep with milk dribbling down her cheeks. It's been her spot. It's always been hers. She claimed it. And I just laughed and I had this smile as I'm thinking about this and contemplating this and connecting with this truth that we have a spot in his arms. And even though we might call him like that, God, like all raspy and crackly and annoying sounding. And I don't know if he's like me, if he's like, what to himself internally. He might be. But the truth of it is, he's always opens his arms to us. He always comes when we call. He always hears. He always listens. There have been some mornings where I pretend that I don't hear her. Don't get me wrong. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what? Like, I just wanted 10 minutes to myself. I just wanted to enjoy my coffee and read and have this time for just me without interruption. But I always have come. Sometimes it takes a couple callings, but I always heard her the first time. God always hears us. He hears us the first time. And he's not like me in my humanness. He comes the first time. And I believe he loves hearing us call his name. I don't always love hearing my daughter call my name because there's sometimes I want time for myself, but I feel appreciative. I feel that I know that she feels safe to call my name and she trusts that I will always come, that I will always be there for her with arms open wide. And I had this realization that this is how God is with us. He hears us when we call, he comes when we call. And just like I didn't say a single word to my daughter this morning, I just heard her call. I walked upstairs. I left what I was doing. And I came to comfort her. I came to connect with her. I came to be close to her. I came to be with her. I came to love her. I came to support her. And I didn't need to say a single word. I just walked upstairs after leaving my coffee behind. I had my book, my phone in my right hand so I could continue reading because I knew what was going to happen. I knew that I would open my arms. She would find her spot next to me, close to me. That spot where she feels safe. That spot where she rests and lays her head. You guys know I like to combine words. That spot where she rests her head, lays and rests her head. That spot that might as well literally have her name on it because it's hers. It's always been hers. And we've got that spot within God, our special sacred spot with him. When we call on him, he hears us. It's ours. And a lot of times I think that we think that he's not coming when we call him because he doesn't talk out loud the way that I can sometimes talk to my daughter out loud. What? Why did you call me? What did you need? I was busy. Just lay down and go back to sleep. Like I could have said that. But that wouldn't have made me feel good. It wouldn't have made her feel good. And God always makes us feel good. And I had this connection to this experience this morning that this is how God is with us. A lot of times he's silent. He doesn't say anything when we call, but he's always there and he always comes. And he always provides that place of shelter, that place of rest, that place of connection, closeness, comfort, love, support. I know that my daughter loves that spot on my arm because it has her feel supported. And it's that spot. And I've gotten tattoos on my left arm before, and while they're healing, I'm like, honey, you got to switch to the right arm while my arm is healing. And she hates that. She's like, no, don't get more tattoos on your left arm. Like, that's my spot. It's like the other spot I mean, she's had to go to it temporarily, but it's just not the same. It just won't do. And God, thank God, he doesn't get tattoos on his arm. Like, we don't need to ever worry that we need to have another temporary spot or that our spot with him is unavailable for any amount of time, that it's out of commission for a certain amount of time. That's not the way it works with him. The way it works with him is the way it worked with my daughter this morning. A lot of times he doesn't say anything. He just comes. He comes quietly and he gives us a place to rest our head right next to him and to feel his love. I love snuggling with my daughter. I love wrapping my arms around her and holding her. And every time I do, I just get time with God. I praise him and I thank him. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for my healthy daughter. Thank you that I get to hold her. Thank you that we have a relationship that is this close, that we're able to be here for each other, to love each other. Thank you that I get to be her mom. Thank you for choosing me to be her mom. Thank you for trusting me, because a lot of times I feel like I'm doing it wrong. I feel like I'm not good enough. And it's in these quiet, still moments that we get to connect, even if she's sleeping, that I know that she knows that internally and unconsciously she's safe, she's loved, she's supported. And I just had this moment of connection and awareness and realization that this is my experience with my Father, with my God. It's the same. You always hear me when I call you. And sometimes I want you to speak loud. But just like if I would have spoke loud and spoke back to my daughter, "What? I'm here, aren't I?" I would have felt that you didn't want me there and I shouldn't have called you. So you never do that. Thank you for never, ever doing that to me, for always coming quietly and simply laying down next to me, being so close to me, and just opening up your arms and letting me just rest in that special, sacred spot and place that has my name on it. Resting my head so close to your heart and just feeling your arms wrap around me. And as I wrap my arms around my daughter, and I just use my thumb to stroke the top of her hand, feel her little hand, her little fingers, the size compared to mine. She just turned 6, so her hand is so much smaller than mine. And I just had this moment where I felt like, God, this is what it's like to be held by you, loved by you. You come every time I call you. And I know I can rest in your presence, rest in your arms so close to your heart. And I can feel that literally almost sometimes where I feel like he's just so softly, so gently, so compassionately taking his thumb and just brushing it ever so gently on the top of mine. And without saying a word, I just know you're with me. And it's in the stillness, it's in the silence, it's in those quiet moments that we can know he's there. And I know it's that my daughter knew that I was there. She could go back to sleep and get more rest in my arms. And I know that this is exactly how it is with God. He's there when we wake up and we're tired and we're grouchy. I don't want to do this right now. We can call on him. And he opens his arms wide. He lets us come inside and he wraps his arms around us. The more time we spend with him, the more time we get to know him. The more time we connect with him and we devote to him, the more these little magical moments in our lives begin to reflect the magical moments that we may have missed in the past with him, all the times that he was there. And I'm sure my daughter's going to grow up and not know exactly how many times she has called my name after she's woken up and how many times I have walked upstairs and done the same thing that we did this morning. I don't know how many it is exactly, but it's a lot. She's going to reflect and remember and know how good it felt. And a lot of times we get so fixated on all the wrong things. We lose sight of the small, quiet things, the things that really matter, the things that really make a difference. Knowing how much He loves us and how much He cares for us and that He's always there. That it's when you're with Him in these quiet times, you begin to realize He always has been and He always will be. And He is a far, far greater parent to all of us than any of us could be to our own children. That's exactly why we need Him. And that's exactly what He provides to us: closeness, comfort, love, support, connection, and protection. We just need to trust. He hears us when we call. Every time. The first time. Just like I hear my daughter the first time every time. I have to wear hearing aids because my hearing, that's a different episode. And this is my experience without my hearing aids. First thing in the morning. I hear her every time she calls. So know that He's always there for you. I experienced that in this introspection, reflection of my experience being there for my daughter this morning. Wasn't anything out of the ordinary. This happens often. But it happened this morning in a way that I felt called to share it with you, to help you hopefully reflect on the ways that you may not think, see, feel, or believe that He's been there for you too. He has. It's in the still, small, quiet moments, those ones that are so easy to miss, so easy to forget. I love you guys. I'm praying for you. And when you're ready to get closer to Him, just invite Him in. God is such a loving God, quiet but mighty. He doesn't need the loud cymbals, clown and kabang. He doesn't need that. He makes a difference without that. And that's what makes Him so incredible. So if you haven't invited Him into your life yet, I invite you to do so right now by just asking Him to come in. Jesus Christ, will you please come into my life? I'm calling your name. I'm calling you, God. Please come in. And know that He will. Know that He loves hearing you call His name. I'm praying for you guys. I love you. And I'll see you soon. Bye for now.